What is going on, everybody, and welcome to another video. Today we are checking out how to play Warhammer 40k perfect for beginners, which is obviously me. I've never played the Warhammer Tabletop game before, and yeah, this is from Midwinter Minis, so be sure to go show them some love, subscribe to them. Obviously a channel more dedicated to the tabletop side of Warhammer and not so much to the lore. But yeah, a lot of people were requesting that I react to tabletop Warhammer back when I was reacting to Warhammer very frequently. And I never got round to it, mainly because all the videos I'd found were an hour plus long and I wasn't going to understand exactly what was going on there. So yeah, I put it off, and the YouTube algorithm, you know, they done a very nice thing suggesting me this video, you know, like a week ago, and I put it in the watch later. And yeah, I think it's time to react to this and learn how to actually play the tabletop game. Now, will this make me actually play the tabletop game in real life? Probably not, but you know, it'll be nice to know if one day I do want to play it. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, some guys did you suggest to play it with subscribers, but I don't know how that would be possible. You know what I mean? Considering you're all from different countries and stuff like that. But I'm very excited to learn about how to play this. If you are new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications so you never miss a video. I upload every single day. So yeah, if you never want to miss a video, make sure you hit those notifications. Also, I stream on Twitch a few times a week. We play video games, we talk, sometimes we watch videos we can't on YouTube. So feel free to go and follow me over there if you're interested in that. And you could join my Discord for all the latest updates on the channel and on the Twitch and all of that. You'll see all the latest updates on Discord, plus you'll be able to talk to me and a lot of other cool people there too. So yeah, without further ado, man, we're gonna get into this video, man. Let's go.
Hey there, you're watching Midwinter Minis. I'm Guy, and this is Ant.
Hi guys.
And in this video, we're going to show you how to play Warhammer 40,000 8th edition.
Nice.
Whether you're totally new to the hobby or used to play a previous version, you'll find pretty
Orcs. These are pretty cool. I don't know. I only know one other person that's into Warhammer, and I don't think they play the tabletop game. I'm not gonna lie
much
to you.
everything you need to know about the basic rules
in real life,
in this
obviously.
video. Let's cut the small talk and jump straight in.
So just to play the basic version of the game, you're just going to need a few things. Chances are you might already have these lying around. So first off, you'll need a few 6-sided dice.
Sorry.
A measuring tape.
I do have a measuring tape. I do have a measuring tape, boys. Let's go, dude. Haha. This actually looks like them. They got a special Warhammer measuring tape. That's pretty cool. But it was kind of expensive though, wasn't it? You know what I mean? Don't have any dice lying around, no,
It shows
unfortunately.
inches, some models to play with. And to make the battlefield a bit more interesting, some stuff to use as terrain pieces, or just to block that line of sight and just provide a bit of cover, really.
Now, if you're just getting started, you might be a bit intimidated by the huge armies and dramatic terrain you see people playing with in gaming stores and in battle report videos. But don't worry, you can get started with just a few models and some cardboard boxes for terrain. For this demo...
Not as atmospheric though, would it? Is it? You know, if you only have a few cardboard boxes, is it? I feel like this hobby can be quite expensive. I was watching a Reddit video, as I do, a while back, and it was like, what are some hobbies that are really expensive? One of them was Warhammer 40k. So yeah, I mean, if you're gonna buy good quality models and you're gonna buy the terrain and you have space, like you probably need quite a big space to play this game. Yeah, it probably could get quite expensive, but I'm sure if you play it enough, the investment is well worth it, you know?
Ant is going to be taking command of this squad of Cadian shock troops from the Imperial Guard. About as close to 21st century humans as you can get in the universe of Warhammer 40,000.
True.
Facing off against them,
Wow.
I'm going to be taking control of this mob of
Unenthusiastic,
orc
hold on.
boys. One of them,
Let me try again. Wow! That's better.
many types of ferocious aliens you'll find in 40k.
Now, all of these models have statistics that will tell you what they're able to do in the game. This is called a data sheet. And don't worry, it might look pretty complicated at first glance, but it's actually very simple. We'll learn about each stat as we go through during this video.
Okay.
Some models also have special rules that will help them out during the game, and we'll bring these up as we use them too.
Now, if you're wondering where to find these data sheets, they're printed in the rule books, or codices, that each army has. So to find the Cadian shock troops, you'll want to pick up the Astra Militarum Imperial Guard Codex. For the Orc boys, you'll find it in the Orc Codex, and so on.
For For those of you who do play Warhammer 40k out there, I know there's a few of you for sure. What army do you guys play? I know some people have commented before. Someone said Death Guard, I'm pretty sure, last time. Like, they said Death when I made the Death Guard reaction. No, Legion of the Damned, that's the one I'm thinking of. Someone said Legion of the Damned. Obviously, someone also said Dark Eldar. Back in the day when I reacted to them, they're like, that's my first army. I was like, Dark Eldar, it's a very sticky one, isn't it? You know? But yeah, let me know what army you guys play. And if you don't play it, let me know what army you guys would play. You know what I mean? I'd probably like Ultramarines, you know? If that's the thing.
Full of cool art, backstory, and obviously cool. The army's specific rules. But if you're just looking for the stats so you can start playing, we'd recommend you use Battle Scribe. It's a cool free app that lets you build army lists for multiple game systems, and Warhammer 40,000 is one of them.
Oh.
Once you've built your list based on the models that you have, you can then hit the view button, and it will show you all the rules and stats that you need to play. If you don't have the codex, you might want to print this out for easy reference later.
Yeah.
You can also grab the Battle Primer PDF for free from the official Games Workshop website.
Now before we jump in, let's talk about the most important rule. Have fun. However you play 40k or interpret the rules, remember that you're playing a game. And that games are meant to be fun. So with that golden rule out of the way, let's play.
I think EA should watch this. You know? I think EA should watch this. That's the main purpose of a game. Have fun. I mean, the only time games are not fun is when you start playing it as a competitive. When it becomes competitive, you know what I mean? But, you know, if you're not angry that you're losing, you know, you've probably got a problem. I get angry when I lose, I ain't even gonna lie.
We're going to place our squads down so that they're 20 inches away from each other.
Ooh.
That way, we'll be able to show you the different dynamics of the game, both at longer range and up close. And just a quick note on the terminology for the rules. Individual fighters within a squad are referred to as models, while the squads themselves are referred to as units.
When placing or moving your models, if they're in squads like these shock troops and orcs, you need to keep the models in what is called unit coherency, which is just a fancy way of saying that the models need to be within 2 inches of each other.
Now, just so you know, we always measure distances from the edges of their bases, not any weird sticky out bits of the models themselves. Okay, so the models are set up and we're ready to face off. To decide who goes first...
You know what's cool? You know those sticks that have like the pointy hand on it, you know? I'm gonna get one of those. I don't even care. I'm gonna get one of those.
We roll off. Ant rolled higher than I did, so he gets to decide whether he wants to go first or wait. Going first or going second both have advantages, which you'll see soon.
With that, I choose to go first, and so now we're going to start turn 1. Each turn consists of a few different phases. These are movement, psychic, shooting, charge, fight, and then lastly, morale. And we'll work through each of these in order.
In the movement phase, Ant can move his models if he wants to. We can find out how far they can move by looking at their datasheet. The M is for movement, and we can see that the shock troops are able to move 6 inches. As the orcs facing them are fierce close combat fighters, Ant chooses to keep his distance and instead moves back a few inches.
Makes sense.
The psychic phase is next, and this is where powerful warp-infused psychers can use their powers. But none of our models possess psychic abilities, so we'll skip this stage for now,
no weird
but we'll cover it later on. On to the shooting phase. Ant's shock troops will now get to target the orcs. These infantrymen have a selection of different weapons. The leader has a small laser gun.
My man's got a heavy flamer. Is that what that is? Yeah, he's got
known as a las pistol. The troops have larger laser rifles, known as las guns, and one lucky trooper has been given a special flamer weapon. By looking at the datasheets, we can see which weapons are in range. As the orcs are about 23 inches away from the furthest shock troop, we can see that the only type of weapon that will reach the opponent are the las guns. The las guns have a type of rapid fire 1, which means they shoot once, but at half range of 12 inches they can shoot twice. The squad has 8 las guns in total, so Ant can take 8 shots at this range. He picks up 8 dice, 1 to represent each shot.
8 dice, my god.
Now we need to determine if these shots are accurate and actually hit their target. This is known as rolling to hit.
So that's like what we saw in TTS, the last special they done, Tabletop Adventures, where they roll the dice, and if you get a certain amount, it's successful, and if you don't, okay.
To figure this out, we look at the shock troop datasheet again. But this time we're looking for their BS. Not bullshit in this case, it's the ballistic skill. Basically, how good they are at shooting.
Yes.
We can see it says 4+. So for each dice we roll that lands on a 4 or higher, that shot hits its mark. We call this roll requirement a 4-up. Let's do it. 3 of the dice landed on a 4-up. Let's remove the 5 that failed, and then we can roll to see if any of those accurate shots wound the orcs. That's called rolling to wound. To figure out what we need to roll, we compare the strength, S, of the lasguns against the toughness, T, of the orc boys.
4.
The lasguns are strength 3, while the orcs are toughness 4.
What does that
Because
mean?
the target's toughness is higher than the attacking weapon's strength, they're less likely to wound, obviously, and will only do so on a roll of 5 or more. Let's roll. Ant managed to roll
6, 5.
1, 5, and
Wow, so he's doing some damage then, for sure.
2 6s. So 3 of those dice actually cause wounds, which is more than you'd expect on average.
For sure.
Now, there's a chance that the orc's makeshift armor might deflect the incoming laser fire. For each successful wound, the orc player, that's me, gets to roll 1 dice. So 3 dice in hand, but what do I need to roll? Let's take a look at the orc datasheet again.
This is getting confusing.
You can see the save value at the end says 6+. This means that I need to roll a 6 for their armor to deflect the shot.
That's because orcs don't really have a lot of armor, isn't it?
Go. Oh dear.
None.
No 6s for me.
Lucky.
That means all 3 wounds go through. The lasgun shots cause 1 damage each if they wound. That's the D on the weapon profile.
Okay.
And each orc boy has just 1 wound. The W in the orc's profile.
So does that mean he dies?
That means that each wound kills an orc.
Oh!
Now I have to remove 3 orcs from play.
Unlucky.
See ya, boys. As none of the other weapons are in range, that means it's now the end of the shooting phase.
Okay.
Pretty successful for the Imperial Guard.
Fair.
Now we move on with the charge phase.
Okay.
For a unit to be able to charge, they need to be a maximum of 12 inches away from the enemy.
Charge.
This is because the charge distance is determined by rolling 2 dice and combining the results. We're still quite far away, so there's no way the shock troops can charge the orcs. Let's move on to the fight phase. But as we know, no unit successfully charged, and there are no ongoing fights, so we can skip straight to the morale phase.
Okay, I think I'm starting to get it. Slowly but surely. So you start, obviously, if you guys have guns, you know, obviously the Imperial Guard have pretty accurate guns. It depends on what army you play. So obviously the Orcs would be way better at the charging phase, right? So they'd probably have lower values than an Imperial Guard with at the charging phase. But at long distance, you know, the Imperial Guard have the advantage and the dice values represent that. So I think I'm starting to get it. I'm wondering, is there competitive play for this? Do people play this competitively? And how many armies, well, I'm assuming you could play quite a few people at once, right? That's quite insane. This actually looks pretty fun, I'm not going to lie to you.
This happens at the end of each player's turn. Units that lost models now have to see if any of their squad mates are scared off by the carnage happening around them.
You can be scared.
To do this, you roll 1 dice and add the number of models lost from a unit this turn. We rolled a 4, now we add the 3 for the models we lost to make 7. Now we compare this total to the leadership value, L, of the Orc boys. The boss knob is still alive in the squad, and he has a leadership of 7. Exerting his influence, he's able to inspire the boys to stay in the fight.
Of course.
If we'd rolled a 6, and our total was 9, that's 2 higher than the Orcs' maximum leadership of 7, so they would have lost 2 more boys.
Wow.
Again, the player who controls the squad chooses the casualties, but there were none of them this time. So let's move on to Orcs, turn 1.
Surely you could make this more complicated, right, and play multiple armies at once on your side. You could literally build an entire goddamn regiment, surely. That'd be crazy. Obviously, the Orcs are not scared of battle, so they should have high leadership.
So first up in the movement phase, the Orcs are actually pretty ferocious when it comes to close combat fighting, but they're quite a long way from the shock troops, so they're going to need to get up as close as possible, so they're going to want to close that gap. They move their M movement value from their data sheet, which is 5 inches, and Guy's then going to choose to make an additional move called an advance. So Guy gets to roll 1 dice and then move that distance in inches in addition to their normal movement value.
Okay.
So that's another 6 inches for the boys. Doing this means they won't be quite as effective for shooting, but that's not really their strong point anyway. They just want to get up and chop some stuff.
Correct.
So now we move on to the psychic phase. And again, in this game, there are no psykers in play, so we're just going to skip this stage for now. Time for the Orcs to unleash some Daka in the shooting phase. So if you've chosen to advance a unit, you can only use weapons that have...
I love the Orcs. Chopper. Custom shooter with a K. I love
the type of assault. Bro. And after advancing, you also fire with a -1 modifier to hit. Okay. The only weapon that guys got in range is the custom shooter on the boss knob. It puts out a lot of shots though, which you can see by the number on the weapon type. Assault 4 in this case. So we're going to need to roll 4 dice to see if they hit. The Orcs are wildly inaccurate with their shooting, meaning their ballistic skill is a 5+. So it only hits on 5s and 6s. But remember, we've got to apply that -1 modifier for guy advancing that unit. So we're only going to be hitting on 6s, which is great for me, but not so good for Guy. Let's roll to hit and see what happens. So Guy scores 1-6. That means that one shot made its mark. Before we roll to wound though, rolling that 6 actually triggered a special rule for the Orcs. The rule is called Daka Daka Daka, which means that to hit rolls of 6 let you roll an additional dice, reflecting their frenzied trigger-happy nature. Does the additional dice hit? No, so never mind actually. Now let's roll to see if that hit wounds. The attacking weapon's strength is higher than the target's toughness. Strength 4 versus toughness 3 in this case. So it's more...
Yeah, guardsmen don't have the strongest of armor. I'm assuming every army has their own, you know, strengths and weaknesses. Someone told me when the Tau first came out, they were incredibly overpowered. I mean, I'm assuming it's obviously every edition, you know, they try and balance it out so each army stands a chance. And obviously, your playstyle is indicative of what army you have. So maybe if you like to be more aggressive, you go for the Orcs. Maybe if you like to be more reserved, you go for an Imperial Guard regiment. Maybe if you like to be more balanced, you go for a Space Marines. Maybe if you're a bit stupid, you go for the Tau, and so on and so forth. So yeah, let's go.
More likely to actually do damage, and Guy only needs 3s or above to actually cause...
That was rude. I didn't mean stupid. I should have said maybe if you're a communist. Maybe if you're a communist, you go for the Tau.
Wound. Good for Guy. That shot wounded one of the shock troops. Now let's see if the shock troops' armor saves his life. The shock troops have slightly better armor than the Orcs, which deflects shots on a 5 or more. Unfortunately, the armour didn't save the soldier this time, and one model is removed as a casualty.
Bye-bye.
So that's the shooting phase done. Now on to charge. Even though the Orcs would love to get stuck in, they advanced in their movement phase, which actually means they can't attempt to charge. Not so good for them. And no charging means no fighting either, so sorry boys, you're just going to have to wait. So we jump straight onto the morale phase. So the shock troops lost one model, but their highest leadership in the...
Let's be honest. The Imperial Guard do not care about losing one man, let alone a million, so they should be fine. This is probably good range for the Cadian Guard, right? They should shred the Orcs.
Squad is 7 for the sergeant, and this means that even if I roll a 6, the total would still not exceed their leadership. So I'm pretty comfortable that actually no one's going to run away. So keep stuck in there, boys. Turn 1 over and done with. Now it's time to go on to round 2, which will be my turn 2.
Now the shock troops can strategically move forward to get their rapid fire weapons within half range. Getting within 12 inches will also let the sergeant fire his small las pistol too. Moving forward, they're now 9 inches away from the Orc boys. Movement phase over, skipping the psychic phase, onto shooting. The only weapon unable to shoot is the flamer, as it has to be within 8 inches. So 7 las guns will be firing at half range, meaning they get to shoot twice, so that's 14 shots. The sergeant will also get 1 shot from his las pistol, apart from the range and type.
Imagine having 14 dice. Dice are cheap, but... I mean, I guess if you don't have 14 dice, you could just roll the 6, 6, and then 2, and you know it's not that deep.
It has the same profile as the las gun, so to keep things simple, we can just add his dice into the pile with the rest of the shots. 15 shots incoming, hitting on 4s.
Wow.
Not bad. 8 made their mark. Now let's roll to wound. Strength 3 of the las guns versus toughness 4 of the Orcs, so needing 5s to wound.
Right. So if it's 1 up, if the toughness of the orc is 1 higher, you need to get obviously a 1 up on the dice, and so okay, I get it now. I'm starting to get
3
this.
wounds. Let's see if the wounds actually kill any of the orc boys.
Okay.
I make 1 6+ saving throw, but fail with the other 2.
Oh,
so another 2
orcs.
Boys are removed from the unit.
The orcs are going down.
Now onto the charge phase. The orcs are brutal at close range, so the shock troops know that charging them would probably be suicide, even though they might be able to pull it off. No, not this time. The shock troops choose to skip the charge phase. Again, no charge phase means straight into the morale phase. With only 2 losses and a leadership of 7, we know that we can't trigger any more losses unless we roll a 6.
Nope.
They're safe this time. Moving on to Orcs turn 2.
So first up for guys turn 2, the orcs don't want to take any chances now. So the shock troops are almost within touching distance. They can almost smell the sweat coming off of them. So that means that the standard movement of 5 inches will bring them just 6 inches away from their enemies, which will actually be really good for the later charge phase.
Correct.
And again, we're going to skip the psychic phase this time and just go on to shooting. The knob's firing his custom shooter, and 3 boys will be shooting their sluggers, which have a 12-inch range. And because he's within range, the last boy is going to be choosing to actually throw a grenade instead of firing his pistol.
Grenade!
All boys have stick bombs, so one of the boys is going to...
Whoa, it's getting interesting, boys. You know, I'm actually watching this. I'm excited. I'm not going to lie. This is exciting. I'm not going to lie. This is very intriguing, man. I want to start playing this game. I'm not going to lie, man. I'm going to have to order some models after this video. I'm not
chucking that, and it's within 6 inches, which is the range of the weapon on its profile sheet. So let's go with the custom shooter first, and 3 sluggers together. Now, as they have the same strength and cause the same damage, Guy's going to be rolling them all together. 7 shots in total, and Guy's going to be using the normal ballistic skill of the orcs, which is a 5+, because they move normally and didn't advance this turn. So that's 3 hits. So just like before, strength 4 against toughness 3 of the shock troops, these will wound on a 3.
Oh!
They all wound. Now let's see if the shock troops armor can save them. 3 saving rolls are made, and 2 are successful.
Wow, lucky.
We know that there's going to be 1 casualty already, but before we start removing models, we also need to finish this unit shooting, which includes the grenade.
Lucky guy, bro. That could have been a 3-man down. I mean, they're still outnumbering the orcs.
So the grenade has got a random number of attacks, determined by a roll of a dice, which is why you'll see grenade D6 in its weapon profile. So roll a dice, or a D6 as it's known, and Guy scores a 4. That means that the single grenade is going to turn into 4 shots, and then we proceed as if it was just a normal gun. So that's 4 shots, hitting on a 5 again, and 2 actually hit.
My man is gonna lose some troops. The grenade could hit potentially 6 people. That is crazy. Because obviously, if you throw a grenade, it could land right. You know, this is quite interesting.
Now, the stick bomb is only strength 3, so when the strength and toughness are equal, the wound roll is successful on a 4 or more. So that's 1 wound, but let's see if it gets through the guard's armor. Nope, not this time. So now that's the shooting phase over and done with, and I get to choose which models to remove as casualties. Now on to the charge phase.
Is that it?
I think there's going to be some charges going off. And this really is what the orcs were made for. They just want...
My man got very lucky only losing 1 there. I don't know if this could have worked, that the charge phase could have just slammed him and finished him.
Want to get stuck in and start chopping stuff up. So Guy's going to be declaring that his orc boys are going to be charging the shock troops. Now, they're only 4 inches away. There's a pretty good chance they're going to be making that distance, which we'll find out by rolling 2 dice. So before Guy rolls those 2 dice to see if they make the charge, I get to fire something which is called Overwatch. Now, this represents that my shock troops are going to be charged, and they're going to be frantically firing at close range at whichever models are going to be charging them.
So that means
they get to Overwatch
panicking
before the charge happens. So even if the orcs eventually fail the charge, they would have had the chance to fire Overwatch. Overwatch works a bit like shooting, but instead of firing at the regular ballistic skill, shots only hit on a dice roll of a 6. So let's tally up. There are 6 las guns remaining, 1 sergeant with a las pistol, and a trooper with a flamer. Because the orcs are within 12 inches, the rapid fire las guns get to fire twice, so that's 12 shots. So that's 13 shots coming in, hitting on a 6. and nothing.
Ouch.
That is some pretty bad rolling.
Yeah,
but let's remember that there is a guard left with a flamer. So it's got quite a short range of only 8 inches, but automatically hits when it fires.
That's
and just like the
cool.
grenade, you'll need to roll a dice to see how many shots it makes.
5.
5.
Okay.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
So that's 5
too.
shots coming in, automatically hitting. So now on to wound rolls. The flamer's strength is 4, which matches the orc's toughness of 4. So the dice will all wound on 4s.
2 wounds.
So now the orcs can use their 6+ armor save to protect them.
1
One
save.
makes it. Let's hope that that was worth it.
Now I need to
Goodbye.
roll to see if my orcs make the charge. I
Only
roll
4
2
left.
dice and combine their total to
8.
find the charge distance.
8
2
inches.
4s, so that's 8 inches in total.
made it.
Easily enough to close the gap.
They made
And
it.
now it's time for the fight.
Hold on, do we get to see some melee here? This is going to be great. It's going to be great. Here we go.
As this is a new fight,
He's in their
whoever
face.
made the charge gets to go first.
He's
So
in their
that was the
face.
orcs, and they're just going to want to get stuck in. Before the orcs get to fight, they can choose to pile in up to 3 inches towards the closest enemy model. First, Guy's going to start off with his orc leader, the boss knob. He's packing a weapon called the Power
Here we
Claw,
go.
which
That
can make
Power
short work of
Claw.
armor, so it really shouldn't have any trouble with these shock troops.
Let's go,
To
dude.
find out how many times he can attack, we look at the A on his profile, and he's got 3 attacks.
Ooh.
Let's roll to hit. The WS, or weapon skill, in his profile shows you how good at fighting in close combat that boss knob is. So he's got a weapon skill of 3+, which means that he is a pretty brutal fighter, and he's going to be hitting on a 3 or more. All well and good, but the hefty power claw he's using is so unwieldy that it's got a negative modifier, which pushes it up to hitting on a 4. This is explained in the ability section of the weapon datasheet. So that's 3 attacks, hitting on 4s,
And he has 2.
and he's made 2 of them. Now let's see if they wound.
To be fair, the Power Claw does the work. I mean, Yarrick did yoink one from somebody, but you know.
So the strength of the power claw is listed as ×2, which basically doubles the strength of whatever the model is using it.
God, 10.
So the strength of the boss knob is already a 5. So that makes the strength of the attacks a massive 10.
That's
So as
big.
before, the toughness of the shock troops is only a 3.
He's
so when the
finished.
strength is double the toughness, or anything over, like in this case, like 3 times the amount, you're going to be wounding on a 2 or more. So as you'd
2 dead.
expect,
Or 2
both of those
wounded.
wounds go through. Now let's see if the shock troops can make their armor save.
No.
Well, actually, we know they won't. This is because the Power Claw also has an AP value. You can find this on the datasheet. AP means armor penetration, and this gives you an idea of how piercing and powerful
-3.
a weapon is against armor. So the Power Claw has an AP of -3, which means that it reduces armor's effectiveness by 3 points.
Wow.
The shock troops have an armor save of 5+, so an AP of -1
So they can't
would
even
bring
get
that
it.
to a 6+, and an
It'd
AP
be
of
an 8.
-2 would bring it to an impossible 7+.
Yeah, okay.
But because this is AP -3, this is going to mean that actually even heavily armored troops and tanks have practically no chance of resisting the attack. So these
yes.
2 troops can't possibly make this save. There's no way you can get 8 on a dice roll of 6. So there's 2 casualties already there, but the fighting's not over yet. Let's see what the boys are going to be doing.
He didn't remove
So they've
them,
got
did
2
he?
attacks each on their data sheet, but because they're using choppers, an ability on this
Chopper.
weapon means that they get 1 extra attack.
Wow.
So 3 boys are
It's getting
going
a
to
bit
be making 3
It's getting a bit complicated, boys. It's getting a bit complicated. I feel like this game you would definitely need to play it quite a few times to just get everything right there, to get the feel of it, you know? A bit of repetition wouldn't hurt, right?
attacks each. And if my maths are right, that's 9 attacks in total.
My bad.
Ouch. So there's weapon skill of 3+, and Guy rolls. Let's see how they do.
1, 2, 3, 4.
So that's pretty good, 6 hits. Now let's roll to see if those hits cause any wounds. So these boys' choppers have a strength of 4, and the weapons don't have any special effects or any AP minus values. So it's strength 4 versus toughness 3 of their opponent, and because the strength is higher, means they're going to be wounding on a 3 or more.
Wow.
So 5 wounds go through.
5 out
It's
of
looking
6.
pretty dicey for my
They're
little shock
finished.
troops there.
I think they're all dead if he doesn't save them.
So I managed to make 2 saving rolls on a 5-up, and because the choppers have no minus AP value, nothing's going to change that. But this still means that there are 3 more casualties, and the 2 caused by the boss knob, and the squad is reduced to just the sergeant, the flamer, and 1 other infantryman. Now it's time for the shock troops to fight back though.
Can they save
The 2 regular
Doubtful.
troops get just 1 attack each, while the sergeant gets 2. And the sergeant's also carrying a chainsword close combat weapon, which means that he gets an additional attack, and this is detailed in the chainsword's abilities. That's 5 attacks coming in and hitting with the troop's weapon skill of 4+. So 2 make it, and let's see if they wound. Strength 3 versus toughness 4 of the orcs, and I'm going to need 5 to make any wounds go through. But 1 goes through, and now let's see if the orcs can make their armor save.
Nope.
Unfortunately, that makeshift ramshackle armor that the orcs are wearing is not enough to repel an attack from a mighty chainsaw, which means that 1 orc goes. So now onto the morale phase. To determine if any of these shock troops are actually scared away by their friends dying around them and having these orc greenskins in front of them just chopping at them, we need to take a morale test. So I do this by rolling a dice, and I roll a 5, and then I add the number of casualties that I suffered in this turn, which was 6.
Yeah, okay,
the 5 plus the 6 equals 11. Now this is 4 higher than my maximum leadership for the sergeant of 7.
Oh, the flamer.
So I need to remove 4 models, but I've only got 3 left, so those 3 guys are going to be running away, so I remove them from the squad.
So you can see that, even given the benefit of the doubt, some armies are much...
When the orcs get close, it's a rip, dude. You need to be very lucky then. Obviously, this is not a very good matchup for the Acadian Guard.
better at shooting, and some armies are much better at fighting up close.
Some probably have
and others have
balance.
mixed, interesting tactics. Before we finish the video, let's quickly bring Psychers into the mix.
Okay.
Let's pretend that all the while there was another unit nearby, a human conduit of psychic energy, an Imperial Guard Primaris Psyker. Let's move on to Imperial Guard turn 3. The Psyker can keep their distance so long as the psychic ability is within range, so Ant decides to move just slightly. Now onto the psychic phase. The player whose turn it is can now try to summon one of their psychic abilities. This particular Psyker knows a power called Psychic Maelstrom, which requires a warp charge of 7 to activate. Ant rolls 2 dice, trying to get a 7 or higher so that that psychic power manifests. And it does. If I also had a Psyker nearby, I could attempt to counteract this, but as the Orcs don't have any on the field, I just have to sit back and let it happen. Psykers denying each other's psychic abilities is called Deny the Witch.
Deny the Witch!
You just have to roll
Burn the Witch! I did say burn the Witch in one of the other videos. Someone called me a GOC member. Hey man, gotta burn the Witch. Okay, like I said, this must get a lot more complicated if you can have multiple. I'd be very interested to watch like a massive fucking army. Surely if you have like a really, really big army, you can have a fucking monster game.
Higher than your opponent rolled to cancel out the ability. So for this particular psychic power, going by the details you'll find either in the Codex or in Battlescribe, we roll the dice, and on a 2+, it causes 1 mortal wound for the Orcs.
Oh.
Now, mortal wounds can't be saved, so that 6+ armor save can't even be attempted. Goodbye Orc number 1. Now with Psychic Maelstrom, Ant can do the same thing again, but this time the dice roll required goes up by 1.
Oh, okay.
Goodbye Orc number 2.
Whoa!
And again, but this time he needs a 4.
Whoa!
He still makes it. Now my boss knob has 2 wounds, so I use a dice just to remind myself that now he's down to 1 wound. And here we go again, and well,
how do you
that
roll
boss
4
knob
6
is
in a row?
dead.
Was it 3?
So that little demo gives you an idea of how powerful Psykers can be in the game, and they're quite a useful type of unit to take in most armies.
Definitely.
We hope you found this video useful, and it's helped you form a rough outline of the basic mechanics of the 8th edition of Warhammer 40,000.
This is obviously no replacement for getting hold of the rulebook and codices, but it should give you a good foundation for starting to play some games. Warhammer 40,000 is constantly evolving with FAQs, yearly updates called Chapter Approved, but it's still just based on the concepts that we've covered in this video.
So good luck getting started. If you're looking for easy to follow painting advice or fast, fun battle reports, subscribe to this channel. That's sort of our speciality. Thanks so much for watching.
Okay. That's the end of that, mate. Shout out to these guys, man. This was a great video, man. Shout out to the Midwinter Minis channel, bro. This is great. I'll definitely be checking out some more of their stuff. Definitely. I don't know if I'll be reacting to more of their stuff, but in my spare time, I definitely want to. I'm definitely interested to find out more about this game. This game is a lot more fun than I initially thought. You know what I mean? I definitely want to buy my own figures. You know, this has actually inspired me. I'm very intrigued. I honestly thought the game was a lot harder to play than this, and obviously this is a very beginner-esque video. Like, you know, this is like if you've never seen it before, like me. So in terms of just having one regiment each, I'm pretty sure you'd probably have way more. I don't know if you could potentially play with multiple different people, like a shit ton. I don't know if there's a limit on that. I don't know if there's a limit on how many troops you have and all of that. So yeah, definitely be intrigued to find out more. And like they said, it is no substitute for getting a hold of the codexes and reading about it yourself and just having real life experience playing the game. Obviously, you'd learn as you go along. You know, it's probably one of those things where you can't just read about it and know how to play. Kind of like push-ups. You can't read about push-ups and get the effect. You have to go in and actually experience the game. So yeah, shout out to these guys, man. Like I said, great video, boys. If you have not subscribed to these guys, you should. I'd definitely be interested to learn more about the game, like I said. Definitely very interesting. Definitely very interesting, and we'll see, man. I'm gonna check out. I might buy my own models. I'm very intrigued to buy my own models, you know what I mean, and maybe play. We'll see. Once my channel finally gets approved for monetization, YouTube, we will probably do that. But if I buy models, I'll probably unbox them in a video, or you know, paint them on stream. They won't look too good if I paint them. Just let you guys know, they won't look too great. But yeah, man. Hopefully you guys enjoyed my reaction to this video, man. Like I said, if you haven't subscribed to these guys, go and subscribe to them. Subscribe to me, all that good stuff, and I'll see you all in the next one.